Good afternoon. In our last lecture session, we had covered the part on CPM, and with that, actually the project planning, that particular module is over. Today, we will start with a new module that is actually the project buying. So the first component of the project buying will be the project procurement. You can see here we are. Project buying is the name of the module, which is unit 7, and project procurement process will be a part of it. So today we will talk about the project procurement process. What's the concept? What is basically the procurement? To carry out a particular project, you need to have many things to buy, many things to purchase. You have to purchase the raw material. You have to purchase sometime the machineries as well. So these particular items have to be purchased. That will be reflected in your project cost sheet, and finally the balance sheet that you are making for a particular project. So according to the concept, as you see on screen, project procurement management is a section that implementation plan to determine how the ordered products necessary for producing deliverables can be delivered on time and within the allocated budget. So just now I talked about the budget. According to your cost, the budget allocation, the project procurement costs have to be aligned with your budget allocation. And the second vital element is definitely the time. Whatever you are procuring, you have to get it on time. Already we have learned about the various project planning methods. These are basically the project scheduling methods, whether you are using Gantt chart, whether you are using line of balance, whether you are using a CPM or the part. Ultimately, our concentration was around completing a project on time. So if my project procurement process, my planning is excellent, I have done the planning excellently, but my procurement process is very untidy. In that case, what is happening in reality, that although I have a nice plan, the raw material or the necessary goods for me to run the project actually coming late, and unnecessarily my project is getting delayed. That cannot be afforded. So as you have to make a time scheduling very well for a project, equally you have to do a very nice planning for the project buying or the project procurement. What are the steps in case of the project management, the project procurement management? Here we have a schematic diagram that helps us to understand that there are 5 steps. First of all, first step is known as specification. Specification actually, the particular team, whoever is in charge of the particular project, maybe mainly it's a responsibility of the project manager or the team as a whole, that they have to prepare the item list. What are the things they need for their project? So that item list must be prepared by them, and the same has to be communicated to the procurement or the purchase department of the organization. Okay, if the organization does not have any specific department for procurement or purchase, it will be the responsibility for the project team or the project manager to ensure the availability of the products or the items, and availability on time. So this is the first responsibility for a project team to do specification of the project. What are the items needed, and for each and every item the exact specification must be provided. If they are forwarding the same list to the procurement or purchase department, the purchase department should not at all be in any trouble while actually they are procuring the items, because their job is just to procure, get the quotation to procure. but the item specification to be given by the project team. So the project item list must be prepared very nicely. All specifications, all updated information should be incorporated. So this is the first step, specification. Second step is the selection. Although it is a responsibility of the responsibility of the purchase department, but still project department or the project team has got the equal responsibility to select the vendor. They should be knowing that which vendor is actually good, who can deliver the product or the items on time, and most importantly at a reasonable cost. So that vendor selection has to be done in a very nice way. What will be the approaches of selection? As I told you in the previous cases as well, we can take basically two approaches. One is the experienced based approaches. If you had worked in the same kind of project, and if you had worked with a group of vendor or a single vendor, and if you are satisfied with their performance, so you can again return back to them and you can place the order to them. This is one area. Or if the project area is completely new, you do not have any experience ever, then you can draw some analogy with the same kind of projects being done by other organizations and where from they are actually procuring the things. So you can draw the analogy and you can get the vendors list ready. Next one, once you have done with your vendors list, third step will be you have to contract them, and you have to definitely prepare a proper contract with all clauses mentioned, and accordingly you have to get the things. Now the fourth one will be the control. You should have a constant monitoring and control over the entire vendor operation, what they are doing, when they are actually providing the necessary items. Are they delaying? If they are delaying, what is the reason for delaying? What is the expected time for me to get it? What is the quality of the items that I am receiving? Whether the items what I am receiving, whether damaged or not. So all whether the packings, if at all the things are coming in packs, if the packs are proper or not, or if the packs are torn off, then you have to report again. You have to send back the items. So all these things you have to take care of, and this is basically the control. And finally, you have to measure. There will be certain performance measurement system. There will be certain performance measurement parameters based on you have to see, you have to measure whether the procurement process was up to the mark or not. There are certain standards available for the procurement, and based on that you can understand that whether your procurement process was at all up to the mark or not. If not, you have to identify the gap. So this is, in nutshell, this is the process of project procurement, which is nicely illustrated through a diagrammatic presentation. You can see the source as well. Now the same thing that we had already discussed at length, we will just have a very brief overview of all steps. First of all, the specification, as we had discussed, it is just preparing the item list with all possible specifications, definitely with the updated information, and you have to place the order to the procurement team or the purchase team. Selection of vendors based on your either past experience or the analogy that you can draw with the other organizations working in the same kind of projects, and the selection of vendors can accordingly be done. Once the selection process is done, you have to do the contracting. You have to have a contract with the vendors where all clauses, including the legal aspects, also have to be written properly, and the contracts have to be signed by the representative of your team as well as the team or a person from a vendor team. Control, as we have told, that there must be a thorough control. Whatever the operation you are actually executing, if you are not having a right control on them, the operation is actually not exactly being followed up. So you have to do a proper control on them. You have to check the product or the items that you are receiving, whether they're up to the mark or not in terms of the quality, whether they are giving on time or not. These two are very important, the quality and the time. of the product that you are receiving. It is equally applicable for even for the manpower as well, because in a particular project you may have to hire some manpower which is actually through the contracts. So in this case, your vendors are basically the contractors, the manpower contractors who provides you the manpower. So you are getting the manpower ample in number or according to your need in number, that's true. But whether the quality of the manpower, whether they're skilled or unskilled, all these things you have to see. Whether you are giving them, or the contractor, whether they're supplying them on time or not. All these issues you have to take care of. And finally, the measurement. Worldwide performance measurement standards are available, or you can you can design and deliver your own standard as well. Whatever be the standard you are following, you can, or you rather you have to, not can, you have to see whether your entire procurement process in terms of its accuracy, whether it is actually complying with the performance indicators that you are actually using for determining the performance of the entire procurement system. If not, if it's complying with, then it's great. If not, then you have to identify the gap areas, that where exactly the problem is lying. And finally, you have to try to fill up those gaps as well. So this way, the entire procurement process is actually executed for a given project. We will continue with the other areas of the project buying in our following lecture sessions. Till that point of time, thank you very much. Stay indoor and stay